What if I told you today there is a blockchain out there that is looking to revolutionize the entire energy industry? And not only is it looking to do that, it is making headway. It is currently partnered with some of the largest institutions globally, like Shell, to do exactly this. I believe you'd be rather interested, and that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. Of course, I am referring to Energy Web. Now, there is two parts to Energy Web that we'll go into a little bit more detail about during this video. There is Energy Web, which currently lives on Ethereum, and there is Energy Web X, which currently resides as a Polkadot parachain. And why has it chosen Polkadot? Well, why does any large institution choose Polkadot? It is an amazing blockchain, very well thought out, and really the first on this kind of parallelized system idea. Hence the name parachains. We know we're moving towards an interesting future with Jam and a number of other things coming. Polkadot 2.0, as people are calling it, but there's no such thing really as Polkadot 2.0, just the kind of, I guess, metaphor of upgrading Polkadot from Polkadot 1.0 to Polkadot 2.0. But this isn't a video specifically on Polkadot, just an ecosystem player within Polkadot. There are many, and today we're going to be covering Energy Web. So a good place for me to start is to head over to their website and try and explain what this blockchain actually is. So we're going to do that. We're of course going to get this from the horse's mouth. So this is Energy Web's website. Energy Web's website. You're going to hear the word web quite a lot in this video. I do warn people. Let's take a look at the story. So our mission. Energy Web is a software company that helps enterprises accelerate the energy transition by developing and deploying Web3 technologies, unlocking business values from clean and distributed energy resources. We're going to be diving into partnerships that these guys have had with the likes of Google, BMW, and of course we'll be looking at one that happened this year, a couple of months ago. I think it was just over a month ago now, in regards to PayPal to help facilitate the green energy usage of Bitcoin miners. So this isn't a blockchain that's actually just transforming the current world around us in regards to energy. It's also internally revolutionizing the crypto space. And we know there's a big kind of taboo in regards to Bitcoin and how it gets its energy. So the history, Energy Web began in 2017 as a collaboration between RMI, a global nonprofit focused on decarbonizing the energy sector, and Grid Singularity, a pioneering blockchain developer, along with 10 founding energy companies. One of these companies was Shell, which we'll come on to in just a second when we look at some of the members. But very impressive project. Not a lot of people have heard of this. And I think what I want to do is actually just stop myself and say that one reason I like this project so much, first of all, I'm all for the purification of the world. You know, I don't want the world to be damaged. I don't know just how much. There's been a big pushback in regards to, you know, some theories relating to global warming and things like this. And you know, there's obviously been elements of where people are being caught out and so on and so forth. We're not here to discuss that. But who isn't for the kind of efficiency of the energy sector, certainly at the benefit of the world? And that's what this blockchain trying to do. So I love it from that point of view. But really what I love it for is because it proves my point that we make here on this channel and have been making for 4 years now. And we think the Bitcoin maxis are confused. You know, it's like saying that the only use for an engine is a Porsche 911 or a hatchback, for example. There's different cars out there that do different things. And a distributed ledger is the same. Satoshi really solved a number of problems. One of those problems was how to incentivize a network, a decentralized network. And this is what we're seeing now with the likes of Energy Web, the further application of those principles and ideas in actually enabling and revolutionizing the energy sector. And energy is actually a very decentralized sector to begin with. If you look at how we get energy, it's from lots of different sources, and there's usually a centralized entity in the middle. There's problems with that. We can talk about that a little bit later on. But this is a really cool project that we sort of wanted to highlight for you guys. And the fact that they're building and utilizing Polkadot bumps it up a notch for me, certainly in the form of Energy Web X. So it talks about Web3 technologies. We're working with our ecosystem of global enterprises to identify, transform, and validate specific business processes, making them more impactful, greener, and more efficient, while simultaneously accelerating the company's climate goals. The future vision is Energy Web envisions a future where enterprises thrive on sustainable, decentralized energy systems like the one they're building. Leveraging Web3 technology, we aim to create a transparent energy marketplace that thrives, or drives, I should say, net zero emissions, efficiency, and innovation. And I believe they are doing a spectacular job of this. When we talk, and you can see here are some of the stats. You can see total value looked on Energy WebX, the EWT token. You've got worker nodes. We'll talk about, this is all sort of relating to Energy WebX, which of course is what's built on Polkadot, over 100 countries, and obviously 50 plus members just in this alone. So we'll talk a little bit more about membership and things like this in just a second. But this is a really, really cool project. And again, a great example of the further application of a distributed ledger. And if you look at how energy is kind of correlated at the moment, there's a lack of accountability for it. There's a lack of traceability. There's a lack of coordination. There's a lack of reward. There's a lack of multiple things. And Energy Web is really solving a lot of those problems and doing it in a sustainable manner, in a decentralized manner, which is important. And they're kind of bringing the energy sector under the Energy Web roof. And ultimately, they're also tokenizing, which is a really interesting use case. The energy sector in the form of the energy that's produced and creating marketplaces for that with Energy WebX, which is really, really cool. You know, it's this kind of, I guess, evolution. It's amazing how blockchain finds itself at the forefront of so many different industries. It's not just finance. People just, when they think crypto, they think money. No, everything is being fundamentally changed with computers, essentially. You know, all these networks is big computing networks that coordinate and have tokens attached to them, basically at the heart of them. And Energy Web is an amazing example of this being, or a distributed ledger being used to serve, I think, a rather noble use case. So it talks about their members, 50 plus members. You've got the likes of PayPal in there. We'll look at the PayPal partnership, obviously Shell. You've got absolutely loads of them. I mean, these are just some of the members. EDF, largest renewable energy supplier in Europe, one of the biggest ones in the world. You know, you can see some of these names. Elia Group, we'll talk about. They did something with BMW involving Energy Web. Obviously, Google gave Energy Web 1 million euros. Energy Web combines a number of things. We've got Vodafone, obviously we've got Shell, Deutsche Telekom, so on and so forth. Energy Web combines a number of things which I really like, because it's kind of deep in, but also IoT. There's a crossover here with Energy Web that I really, really like. And it's a super, super interesting project. This isn't meant to be a deep dive. We could spend hours talking about this project, just really an introduction into it. What I want to do now is actually dive over to Energy Web's white paper and actually talk about the Energy Web decentralized operating system. And they call it the EWDOS. And that might confuse people, but that's really all it means. So if we dive over to that, now, we're also going to be looking at the Energy WebX light paper, which is longer than the white paper for Energy Web. So it's interesting they call it a light paper when it's actually quite a condensed one. But we'll look at some key features there. Hopefully, sort of draw a little bit of a difference between the two and what their roles on. So the Energy Web DOS is a full stack of decentralized technologies and tools built for and operated by energy market participants, like the ones that we just looked at. As a non-profit organization, we don't have shareholders, and everything we do is in the pursuit of our mission to decarbonize the global energy sector. Accordingly, EWDOS is not a product or an application or a market design. It is an infrastructure, and that's what these blockchains truly are. And we figured out how to incentivize that infrastructure with tokens. So EWDOS, let's just call it Energy Web Decentralized Operating System to not confuse anyone, is an open source public digital infrastructure powered by a network of nodes from the Energy Web member ecosystem like Shell. In this decentralized proof of authority, so they use a similar consensus to VeChain for anybody that's familiar, model, the organization that operate nodes are both Energy Web decentralized operating system users, i.e. application developers, and infrastructure providers, i.e. node operators. Energy Web's decentralized operating system nodes fall into two categories: validator nodes and utility nodes, which provide complementary services within the utility layer. From a technical perspective, validators and utility nodes are separate, i.e. they operate different software, perform different functions, and are hosted on different machines. From an operational perspective, we expect that many organizations will host both types, but there will not be a precise one-to-one relationship. Operating a validator node or utility node requires configuring specific Docker images on a host machine. Each organization will make its own decisions about which container to run. As a starting point from the governance perspective, all utility nodes must meet the current validator eligibility. While there are specific eligibility criteria for operating validators and utility nodes as defined by the current governance mechanism, the Energy Web decentralized operating system infrastructure itself is publicly available for general use. Anyone can create a decentralized digital identity. I think they might be partnered with Deloitte to do this. Deploy, which of course are partnered with Kilt. We've interviewed Ingo Rube, great guy, super cool guy, by the way. Deploy smart contracts or build an app on Energy Web decentralized operating system by using the native Energy Web token to pay for services. Toolkits, on the other hand, are simple open source repositories available here. So the following sectors describe the three energy sort of sector layers, and you can see you've got the operating system, you've got the trust, utility, and toolkit, and you can see kind of how things work within that. Let's talk a little bit before we dive over to some partnerships about Energy Web X. Now, let's dive over to this. You can see this is a lot longer paper. The Energy Web white paper was only 14 pages. The light paper is 22 on Energy Web X, which of course is built and utilizes Polkadot's power chains. So Energy Web X is a critical enabling technology for worker node networks. It says today worker nodes are implemented as independent off-chain computing nodes that communicate with a smart contract deployed on the Energy Web chain. So you can see where the crossover is here. This approach is effective, but it is complex and labor intensive. To configure custom business logic, synchronize nodes, and apply appropriate governance, such as defining eligibility requirements and service level agreements that worker nodes must adhere to. A more efficient solution is to implement worker nodes within a common environment where they can run independently but follow a unified set of rules, and that's where Energy Web X comes in. In contrast to Energy Web Chain, which is Ethereum based, Energy Web X is built on substrate technology, Polkadot's toolkit essentially, and stack. Its sole purpose is to coordinate, secure, and make public the results of work performance by worker node networks. Each set of worker nodes deployed on Energy Web customers, or over time any energy enterprise, will be governed and anchored to the unique pallets on Energy Web X. In traditional Web3 language, a pallet on a substrate-based blockchain is similar to a smart contract on an Ethereum virtual machine, but more powerful and flexible. This is why we love Polkadot. So with this architecture in place, Energy Web will have a scalable way to launch worker nodes, each with their own decentralized identifier that are anchored on Energy Web X. A simple diagram of the architecture is shown below. So this is the difference. This is the kind of coordinated governance layer, if you will, of Energy Web X. Kind of, instead of doing it all on Energy Web, it's kind of taking it onto another chain and really simplifying things down. We don't want to go, like I said, I didn't want this to be too much of a deep dive on the actual project and the moving parts. Let's talk about some partnerships, because this project is making ground. This is PayPal. This was only a month old. It says PayPal Energy Web Purpose Incentive Program for Bitcoin miners who go green. So PayPal and Energy Web are collaborating on a solution that rewards Bitcoin miners for using low carbon energy sources for their operations. PayPal is promoting incentives for Bitcoin miners who take steps to reducing their operation environmental impact. Very interesting. We also have Google, So Google backs EnergyWeb to harmonize low-carbon electricity markets across Europe. Today, EnergyWeb announced a new initiative funded by a €1 million grant from Google.org's Impact Challenge program to provide a digital framework for coordinating distributed energy resources across the transmission and distribution market interface of Europe's power grid. Climate KIC, the EU's leading knowledge and innovation community focused on climate change, helped to select winning grants. So this is a very interesting one. And of course, BMW demos recharging cars using EnergyWeb's blockchain. BMW has partnered with EnergyWeb to demonstrate a blockchain solution for recharging electric vehicles with renewable energy. It also involves the Belgian and German electricity grid operator Ilea. The key benefit was sharing a vehicle's decentralized identity with the grid operator. Usually only charging solutions communicate with the car, and the grid operator, or TSO, receives aggregate data. By using EnergyWeb solutions, Ilea could see the details of the charging for vehicles. So we've covered quite a lot in this video. EnergyWeb is a project to watch. I think if they succeed, and it very much looks like they're making headway in the goal and the tasks that they've set for themselves, this blockchain could revolutionize how the energy grid works and make it far more efficient. When you have data that is derived from each independent energy provider and user, you can correlate that grid to a far more efficient manner and ultimately start to improve it. So that is it from me, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this content as much as I enjoyed presenting it. Let me know your thoughts on EnergyWeb. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And on that note, I'm going to love and leave you. Thanks a lot for watching, ladies and gentlemen. See you all in the next one.